We thank the negative for their contributions to this debate. It is obvious that we both care about the quality and equity of education for all students. Where we differ is in our understanding of how federal funding plays a role in American education. This is a complicated topic, so it's important to revisit some facts to make sure that the audience has an accurate understanding of the elements herein. The negative posits that, quote, nearly 85% of all money spent on education comes from state and local governments, end quote. But this is a bit misleading unless you understand that this is true only at the K-12 level, and that it's true because education in this country is, by design, the responsibility of state and local governments. The negative also posits that the 10% of federal funding in this area has impacted students in a positive way, but it's unclear what evidence supports this assertion. Linking this assertion to the No Child Left Behind era is especially questionable since this is widely seen as a policy and funding failure. In fact, a 2012 report concluded that, quote, No Child Left Behind has severely damaged educational quality and equity, with its effects falling most severely on the poor, end quote. No Child Left Behind actually removed funding from some of our neediest schools because the students' test scores did not meet expectations. The negative then suggests that such federal reform initiatives are to blame for a faltering education system. We're glad that they agree that there have been too many add-on initiatives tied to federal funding. That is our whole point. The negative also states that funding is the greatest issue facing education. Even if that were the case, then we should be focusing on changing the way states fund education. According to the Center for Public Education, in most states, property taxes are the bulk of the education budget. This unfairly hurts poorer districts and should be rectified, but a lasting solution will not rely on more federal funding. Further, there is no question that there is inequity across districts, but to say that and then take the leap that the federal government should be the arbiter of equalizing funding is a bit of a non sequitur. The negative then goes on to say that the rising cost of college necessitates increased federal funding. The irony here being that the much-researched Bennett hypothesis suggests that increased availability of federal funding actually leads to higher tuitions in the long run. Interestingly, for this debate, a 2012 study found that this was not as true if the aid was limited to truly low-income students. But as federal loans and Pell Grants have increased, as shown here, and gone to more middle-income students, college tuitions have increased to capture more of that funding. And as for the bit about the deep pockets of the federal government, according to the U.S. Office of Management and Budget, in 2017, the federal government is projected to outspend its revenue by over $500 billion. We appreciate the negative's commitment to education and desire to help those in need, but increasing federal funding will not solve our education problems.